Hello there, everyone. Hallo zusammen, and welcome to this German GCSE and iGCSE video tutorial. So in this particular video tutorial, we are going to look at how to answer the longer writing task. The longer writing task is an essential part of the writing exam for all students, actually. The part where many marks are scored. So I'm going to give you top guidance for how to ace your longer writing task, how to really stand out from the rest and push towards those target grades, or even above. Just to introduce myself, first of all, I'm Dhananjay Talwar. I studied French and Italian at the University of Cambridge, graduating with an MA degree back in 2015. I have been an educator, a tutor above all, ever since then. And I am really passionate about languages. So I've learned over 20 different languages myself to different levels, which includes at least 9 to fluency, one of which is naturally German, which I did do for GCSE, scoring the top grade before practicing considerably with friends and others within that language community as well. Languages are something that I live and breathe, and as well as being very motivated to learn them myself, and very familiar with different methods, including effective ways of learning languages. I really enjoy passing these on to my students and motivating them to succeed in language learning and to get to their target grades or beyond. And I've so far done so with over 500 different students, helping them achieve or exceed their target grade in language GCSE or iGCSE exams as a full-time tutor. I've taught 8 languages so far to GCSE or iGCSE level, and several of those at higher levels as well. So it's been a great experience in the world of education. Now, these are the German GCSE or iGCSE exam boards. As of September 2025, there are 4 for GCSE German and 2 for iGCSE German. You should definitely recognize your own exam board here. And do please try and be aware of the differences from one exam board to the next. Not only is it worth knowing what exam board you are studying, but of course, it is important to know what the format and syllabus will be for your particular exam board, as there are differences between them. So, as mentioned, that is not something to neglect. The differences between exam boards can have some significance. The good thing is, though, that this video covers material which is relevant for students of any exam board, for German GCSE or iGCSE. And that holds true whether you're doing foundation tier or higher tier. So no matter which tier you're doing, which exam board for German, carry on watching, as there should be plenty of value in this for you. And the reason why is because every single one of these exam boards does have some form of a longer writing task in their writing paper. Okay, so before we address the longer writing task specifically, I just wanted to gloss over the different parts of the German GCSE or iGCSE writing exam. It's worth emphasizing too that these are not the only parts. These are a full list of the different possible parts of your German GCSE or iGCSE writing exam, but you will not have to do all of these. No student would have to do every single one of these tasks or anywhere near that, because that would be a very long and drawn out paper, and that wouldn't be realistic at all. These are potential parts of your German GCSE and iGCSE writing exam. So the writing paper could include a form filling exercise, a listing exercise with short sentences in German, where you've got to provide short sentences in German, an exercise where you have to provide a response in German to a stimulus like a photo, a mini grammar exercise, a shorter writing task, a longer writing task, and a translation task, which if you do have to do translation, then within the writing paper, that would be translation from English to German, rather than the other way around. And the reason why that is in brackets there, the translation, is because that is something that I cover in a separate video, actually. Not every single student would have to do translation, but if you're doing a GCSE exam board rather than iGCSE, then it should be part of your, it's likely to be part of your exam too. I do have another video, as mentioned, on translation. That video covers translation both from English to German and German to English too. This particular video, as mentioned, is looking at the longer writing task, which is relevant for all students. So do carry on watching. If you want to maximize your grade and find out how to do that for your longer writing task. And I do have yet another video on the shorter writing task and how to tackle that and boost your grades for that task as much as possible too, including all of the useful exam technique. So I highly recommend giving that a watch as well. The 5 exercises or tasks listed at the top here, from the form filling exercise down to the grammar exercise, those are not ones that I go through in these videos. That's because they do vary more from exam board to exam board. They can also change whether you're doing foundation or higher tier, and they tend to be more formulaic and simplistic in nature as well. So those, they can come up for some students, but those are, often easier and not ones that I cover in these particular videos. So let's turn our attention then to the longer writing task, both for German GCSE and iGCSE. So for the longer writing task, the student will have to write an answer in German, of course, and that answer has to address several bullet points. The exact number of bullet points can really vary, perhaps up to about 5 at most. But no matter how many bullet points there are listed in the question, you have to address every single one of them in your answer. And that is very important because in the longer writing task, as for the shorter writing task, there will be marks available in the mark scheme specifically for addressing every single bullet point that's there. The question is based on a specific topic area. That could be, say, potentially more challenging topics for most students, like the environment or social issues, or perhaps more standard ones like friends and family, home and daily routine, school, and so on. But no matter which question it is that you choose to answer, it should be related to a specific topic area. It's always worth noting as well that you usually get a choice of questions for the longer writing task. So even though you would only have to answer one of those, you'd only ever have to do one longer writing task in your exam, you may well have 2 or 3 different potential questions to choose from, and make sure that you indicate very clearly on the exam paper which one you have chosen to answer as well. There's no point in losing potentially many marks just for that reason, because you haven't indicated clearly which question you answered. And it's also worth mentioning that while it is very important to address every single one of the bullet points that are there in the question, and without leaving out any of those, do also address them roughly equally as well. So don't write more words for one of the bullet points than you would for the next one, for instance. You don't have to write exactly the same number of words per bullet point, but try and keep it roughly the same. Again, there will be marks available specifically for doing that. And as a student, for your longer writing task, like for the shorter writing task, you will have a specified number of words to write. This depends a bit on your tier on your exam board as well. Sometimes you'll be given a range of words to write. A range of acceptable word counts. And I would stick, again, to about 10% either way. So try and keep within 10% of that, 10% above or 10% below. Just to stick on the safer side and to avoid losing marks, or avoid there being any possibility of losing marks just for the word count. Okay, so if you're wondering what these word limits are, which it's certainly useful to be aware of, here they are. So this is, from my research, this is correct as of September 2025. Of course, particularly depending on when you're doing the exam, it's good to be aware and to keep up to date of the exact word limits and the latest word limits, the latest information on your exact writing exam and other exams should be found on the website of your particular exam board. Of course, for GCSE exam boards, there is a distinction between foundation and higher tier. So if you're doing one of those, make sure that you're aware whether you're doing foundation tier or higher tier, and make sure to look at the word limit, which is therefore going to be relevant for you. For iGCSE German, there's no distinction between foundation and higher tier. Okay, so here are some of my top tips for how to deal with and approach the longer writing task. So, of course, always answer each bullet point directly. I would signpost this as clearly as you can to the examiners. For example, starting a new paragraph every time you start to address a new bullet point. That is important because um, yeah, it just shows the examiner as clearly as possible that you have answered every single one of those bullet points. Again, write roughly more or less the same number of words for every bullet point. Just try not to vary it too much and answer every single one of those bullet points. That is really important too. Use topic specific vocabulary. For your longer writing task, you do need to show off the language more to get towards the top grades. So don't hesitate to do that. Topic specific vocab is one of the ways that you can show off your language, particularly if it's harder topic areas, say the environment, which has quite a lot of specific vocabulary. Don't hesitate to use that in your longer writing task as it can improve your grades. The main thing to vary, though, tends to be grammar. That's the thing that is likely to most impress examiners. And so don't shy away from using a variety of tenses, past, present, and future tenses, as well as plenty more. Yeah, when you're writing your longer writing task, I certainly would not just stick with the most simplistic tenses, such as the present tense. It is definitely important to use the past and future as well, and you can certainly go beyond that as well, using perhaps subjunctive forms, slightly more complex or subordinate clauses, complex grammar forms, and verb forms too, as long as you're confident in being able to do so correctly. Try and stick roughly to the word limit as well. I would go about 10% either way. Give yourself about 10% of leeway above or below that. And unlike your shorter writing task, in the longer writing task, here you do have license to show off your language and impress them with your range, particularly in terms of grammar, as much as you can. Within reason, actually, because you do have to be able to use every show off phrase correctly. If you don't use them correctly, you won't be able to get marks for them. So make sure that you're confident in being able to pull them off without undue mistakes. If you are confident in doing that, then certainly do use those more complex phrases here in your longer writing task, because that is what really pulls students up towards the top grades. Okay, a few more tips for the longer writing task. Make sure you check your writing really thoroughly afterwards. That's really important. If you're writing in German, as you would be here, of course, then make sure you check spelling, punctuation, and grammar thoroughly. Those are the three things, three areas that students are most likely to make small mistakes in. And most students will be able to pick up on those mistakes and correct them as they check, thereby boosting their grades. But also make sure to sense check your answer. Make sure that you've answered every bullet point, you fulfilled the requirements of the question very clearly, and so on. Definitely set yourself some time to check, and don't leave that out or condense that either, unless you're really running out of time. Memorize key phrases. Again, the same thing I mention a lot. But key phrases are really a way of boosting your grade and very efficiently too, without too much extra work. You can simply memorize a bunch of key phrases that can be reused, that can be used in your speaking and writing. And those would tend to be harder, more complex verb forms or grammar forms in German. That can be a really efficient and effective way to boost your grade. And I'll show you actually very shortly a show-off checklist that it's very useful to bear in mind of the kind of structures that could impress your examiners in the longer writing task. Indicate clearly which question you've answered. As mentioned, you don't want to end up losing a huge amount of marks just because you didn't indicate clearly which question you were going to answer. And practice, lastly, using past paper materials in exam conditions. That tends to be the best way to practice trying to recreate the actual exam environment. And that's actually what I would prioritize within at least a month or two of the actual exam, if not before that. So, as promised, here is my show-off checklist of essentially more complex verb forms and grammar forms for German GCSE or iGCSE, that you should look to incorporate in your longer writing task to really impress the examiners and push your grade up towards those top grades or the top bracket of grades. So these include varied tenses. As mentioned, I definitely wouldn't stick with just the present tense, not for your longer writing task. At least put in some past tenses, some future tense forms too, and perhaps vary it more, maybe things like the conditional, pluperfect, subjunctive, and more. But varying your tenses is a good way to stand out and impress examiners. The subjunctive in particular actually really tends to impress examiners. So yeah, if you really want to stand out and boost your grades, the subjunctive is still, even for German, arguably the most prized or kind of impressive looking verb form. Subordinate clauses too, and relative clauses, they can both be used to good effect to increase your marks because they're harder to pull off, especially in German. Yeah, and generally only the more advanced candidates can do so correctly. More complex conjunctions, including linking words, things like using verb kickers like weil, which then push the verb, the main verb, right to the end of the sentence or phrase. Those can work well to impress examiners because, again, they're fairly challenging in German. And advanced and topic-specific vocabulary, too, can be used to get ahead and to show the examiner, yeah, your level or that you should get towards the top grades. Yeah, particularly for certain topic areas like the environment. I would try and bear this list. Yeah, try and keep this list in your head as you're writing your longer writing task as well. It's very unlikely that you're going to be able to throw in all of these in just one answer, but yeah, if you bear these in mind and almost try and tick off as many of these as you can, bearing in mind, of course, also that you've got to be able to use them correctly to get the marks for them, that can be very, very useful. Now I'm just going to show you an example. So this is something I did myself. This is a longer writing task. This particular question comes from the specimen paper for Cambridge iGCSE. And I'll just translate the question and instructions here quickly before showing my model answer. So it says, choose between either 3A or 3B. Obviously here, the answer I'll show you is for 3A. Write 130 to 140 words in German. As mentioned, there can be some kind of a range of words or acceptable word count. And I would stick roughly about 10% either way. So perhaps 115 to 155 words, more or less, should be acceptable. And if you stick within those limits, you shouldn't be penalized for it. And I would actually count up individually, one by one, all of the words I'd written to make sure I'm not going to lose marks for that reason. So then the question says, well, either A, a new cafe. Last week, you visited a new cafe in the city. You're writing an email to your friend. And these are, of course, the 5 bullet points that you must include within your email, which are 1, describe the new cafe. 2, say what you ate and drank in this cafe. 3, explain why many people enjoy spending so much time in cafes. And 4, explain why it is important or not that cafes offer healthy food. And then finally, number 5, say when you will go out to eat the next time. Yeah, when the next time is that you're going to go out to eat. So those are the bullet points to include. As mentioned, it's really important to include all of those in your answer. So don't overlook or leave out even 1 or 2 of them. And now I'm going to show you my model answer for this. So the question itself and instructions are just copied out at the top. And below is the first part, the first half of my model answer. So I'll just point out a few of the features while you read through it. So as clearly specified in the question, you have to write an email here. And I've set it out for that reason a little bit like an email. There's no need to include things like a date, or any other details, but I would address it to somebody in particular, as that's what you'd normally do. So if you're asked to write an email or letter, then I would put dear and then the name of somebody who you're writing to. And what you can do, and many students do this, is just choosing a German name like Jürgen, for example, and just every time you're asked to write an email or letter in a writing task, you'd always address it to that person. It can just save a tiny bit of time because you don't have to think through which name you're going to use. The only other thing you really have to do if you're writing an email or letter is sign off at the end, as you'll see I've done in the second part when I show that on the next slide too. Apart from that, I've been careful to follow each of the bullet points and to give the information required and indicated by each bullet point. Within the first bullet point, for instance, here, I've clearly gone into detail about describing the cafe, the new cafe. Even if you write in beautiful German with very few mistakes, if the material you write is not relevant to that bullet point, you would be penalized too. So make sure to watch out for that. I've mainly paid attention, apart from that, to the grammar and to trying to vary my grammar as much as possible. Perhaps I've used a few more advanced pieces of vocabulary, such as in Eile, to be in a rush, in Eile sein, to be rushing. But really, I've prioritized the grammar, such as using different cases, like jedem, that's the dative form. Different tenses above all. So this is the simple past or imperfect. Hat gefallen, that's more like the perfect tense. So I've used not just one, but a variety of different past tenses. And then in the second part of my answer, I've gone on to the future and conditional as well, and incorporated them into my answer. I've used a variety of different past participles, some regular ones, some more irregular ones too, like gegessen, and getrunken from strong verbs. So again, just trying to vary my language, particularly the grammar, to impress the examiners more. Okay, this is the second half of that answer. So this is where I address the third, fourth, and fifth bullet points. So again, you can take a bit of time to read over this. And I'll point out some of the features I've used to, again, particularly stand out more to examiners. I've tried to use a verb kicking construction, for instance, with weil, and then the verb going to right at the end of the sentence or phrase. A wenn or if clause. And perhaps some slightly more complicated vocabulary like Fettleibigkeit, obesity. So I have tried to address, try to impress the examiners in this way. Again, some verbs in the perfect tense with slightly harder forms, like geworden from werden, to become, which also takes the auxiliary sein instead of haben. Use something like an zu clause as well, meaning in order to. And then in the final bullet point, which is talking more about the future, when you're going to go out to eat next time, I have used the conditional, ich möchte, and the future tense as well, ich werde, and then haben, just to vary my tenses more, and to increase the range grammatically. Apart from that, I've mainly prioritized the accuracy too, so making sure to avoid small mistakes and to be very careful in terms of the word order and other tricky aspects of German grammar. Okay, now there's just time for me to test you and to test your understanding of the longer writing task for German GCSE or iGCSE. So, question number 1. What types of advanced grammar can impress examiners in the longer writing task? I did show you some kind of a list, show-off checklist, so to speak. So, try and remember what was on there, perhaps. Okay, let me show the answer for this question then. These include varying your tenses, of course, using the subjunctive, subordinate and relative clauses, infinitive constructions, things like zu, and so on, and more topic-specific vocabulary. But that's not an exhaustive list. There are other types of grammar that can stand out to examiners as well. These are just some ideas of what you can include to push your mark up for the longer writing task. Question number 2, this one is true or false. So you must stick absolutely exactly to the number of words indicated. I'll just give a few seconds to think through whether that is true or false and why. And now let me reveal the answer. This one is, of course, false. You do have some leeway. I would recommend writing within 10%, either above or below the specified number of words. So if you're asked to write 100 words, I would go somewhere between 90 and 110, just to be safer. I know some German teachers will say other things. Yeah, they may recommend being quite free with your word count, but I would just try and minimize the chances, yeah, in any way you can, of losing marks for these small and annoying reasons. Question 3 is true or false again. So the aim in the longer writing task is to throw in as many advanced phrases as possible. Okay, I'm going to show you the answer for this. This one is also false, actually. Advanced phrases are definitely useful. They can certainly boost your grade, but make sure that every single one you use, you're able to use it correctly to get the marks. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the credit for it. And it has to be relevant to the bullet point you're answering as well. So do throw in advanced phrases, but make sure that you're confident in using them correctly. And make sure that the content is still relevant to what the question or bullet point is asking. And then question number 4, what are maybe the most impressive grammar structures to use in the longer writing task? So if you had to identify one that really stands out, what would that be? Okay, I'm going to show the answer for this one too. This is, yeah, while there are many that can stand out for examiners, the subjunctive, as long as it's used correctly, even in German, is maybe the most impressive grammar structure for the writing tasks. So don't hesitate to memorize the subjunctive or even just learn some key phrases containing more impressive subjunctive phrases that you can reel off in your speaking or writing. Okay, so if you have questions of any kind about any of that, or if you'd like to know about more personalized help, which I do offer too, you can get in touch with me by email, through Facebook, or Instagram. I do post on social media platforms every single day, sharing my love of languages with the world, trying to inspire hopefully as many people as possible to learn more and more languages, sharing the benefits of doing so, and teaching them efficient methods that are also really fun to learn languages too. I do post a lot about GCSE and iGCSE exams as well, including the relevant exam technique and how to maximize your grades. So don't hesitate to follow me on those platforms. I have many resources, including free resources available for GCSE and iGCSE languages, which include German. Yeah, you can contact me to access those as well. And I do offer one-to-one classes, group classes, courses, and plenty more. So if you're interested in knowing more about any of that, don't hesitate to reach out.